Welcome back to HorrorVision, the series where we're going to be looking at horror every October until the 31st. Where today we're going to be looking at one of the creepiest horror films of all time, the 1922 Nosferatu. Nosferatu was made on June 3rd, 1929. Follows the mysterious Count Orlok, played by Max Schreck. Summons Thomas Hutter. And I am not going to read this guy's name that plays this character because it's in German. To a remote Transylvania castle in the mountains. We all know that as Dracula's castle. Although most North American films still say Dracula, still, they couldn't get the parts for Bram Stoker's widow in order to say Dracula, so they had to change the name to Count Orlok. This has got to be one of the creepiest horror movies you have ever seen. This has everything that you can become you can literally have a popular screenshot right there for your computer, your phone, and your tablet. This is like one of the best ever, and it's really disturbing to say the least. For something that's a silent movie, the scares are literally in the actor's face. And after all, this is a silent film. I mean, that wicked shadow just ascending the staircase, the scene of Dracula coming through the doorway, which actually fits his body, these are really cool. And I feel like Dracula himself has become Orlok himself has become one of the scariest iconic monsters and has been parodied in Hotel Transylvania too. And I'm not kidding when I say that, because they put him as, well, the actual Dracula's, like, father. Which could be interesting. I would actually like to see if Dracula literally had a father named Orlok. If they put that story together, that'd be really interesting. But this, right now, is one of the best movies ever. The IMDb is 7.9 out of 10. Roger Ebert gives it a 4 out of 4. And it's 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. For something from 1922, this sure is a horror film. And I'm one of the fans. Nosferatu has become one of those types of horror films that literally can scare a person. Now, I never saw the Dracula Bram Stoker's novel, but I sure do know that James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd, does. And he does it more in depth than I would. But one thing I can tell you is that this is one of the best silent movies that I've ever seen. If I want to call the best, I think you're going to have to wait until tomorrow. But this is probably one of the coolest movies I've ever seen. And yeah, this was literally one scary movie. I think for most people nowadays, they're not used to the silent movie. But people should know that the body expressions and the facial expressions of the characters show basically the type of emotion that leads to that. You could see it in basically the face, not basically the voice. Sure, the voice is more easier to understand, but with the body language and the facial expressions, it shows it a bit more. Just him staring into the camera just gives an eerie presence. It's more like he's in the room with you. If you turn off the lights and actually see him just staring into the camera, he looks like he's literally staring at you, the viewer. And that's interesting to see because this film literally gave me the spooks. Yeah, I know, that's rare in most cases, but normally a slasher film would give me the type of chills. But no, this one literally gives me the spooks every time I see it. And even when I was little, I always thought of him just walking by in my nightmares. Nowadays, it's not much, but back then, it was a big deal seeing this guy. Horror is not just about, a slasher villain or somebody in the night that comes up and stalks their prey, even though that could be a good thing. But it can also it can also tell a very good story and tale of something supernatural. And that's kind of like what I think Nosferatu is. It's pretty much a film that is the silent era's most famous. It has great screenshots that you can literally just take a snap of a picture of and literally just show it to your kid at night and they would literally scream. Why'd you think he was so famous in the SpongeBob episodes? Well, I remember the first one being Graveyard Shift, but the modern version, I forgot what he was. But he showed a little bit more comedy. But the other one was like he had a brief cameo. But that shows how famous he is. It's a famous screenshot. Now, even though now we're done with this guy and I consider it one of the best horror movies ever, we're going to have to look at another horror movie that actually has way better facial expressions than meets the eye. Not only that, as The Man of a Thousand Faces.